You kind of caught me off guard here. Okay. Now, thank you, Lord. Help me. Let me pray. Very simple. It takes a lot of money to do what they do. Oh, yeah. Well, for example, that's really none of your business. But, hey, you listening to me? Let me give you another example. And I prayed about it, and I thought, back when, and I might add another thing, too. It's a misunderstanding. I'm talking about the Bible. God, I get excited talking about it because I love it. I had to learn this, the demons. Abraham was very, very well. I learned it from him, from the Bible.
There's a foundation in the Bible.
Wait a minute now. The blessing of Abraham. Abraham was extremely wealthy, and he had a covenant with God. I'm talking about the Bible. Oh, God, I love this. And I started out standing. My grandfathers. I love the people. Those are the demons. And I understand that, and I love them with all my heart. If you go into the old covenant, and it's full of meanness, it's just full of hell on earth. He made that airplane so cheap for me, I couldn't help but buy it. I love your eyes. Face to face, personally. Just the same as Jesus is very real. They're rulers of the darkness of this world. God bless, Father bless. But it's a biblical thing, it's a spiritual thing. It doesn't have anything to do with people. And it's full of miracles, and signs, wonders. It's full of unseen things. Jesus, people, I love people. Dragging some woman down an aisle, it made me so mad I wanted to punch the guy out myself. We wrestle not with people. And I have a lot of natural gas.
Gang, the motherfucking United States champion of word wrestling entertainment is back for another edition of the Pocket Locker Podcast. I am your host with the most, all the way from the East Coast, and goddamn it, gang, y'all already know I am in airplane mode. Folks, we have got another great episode for you. So as always, I'm going to need you to greet your neighbors, sit back, enjoy the music. It is time to catch a vibe, and then we are going to get into this shit. All right, let's begin with the musical portion of the program.
Having the time of your life. Just remember, you gotta always think twice. I remember when I lost my mind. But there was something so special about that day. Even your emotions had an echo. So much space. Yeah, yeah. And when you're out there without a care, yeah, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know enough. No. I just knew too much. Well, maybe I'm crazy. Or maybe I'm crazy. See, maybe I'm crazy. Possibly. My hero had the heart to live a life I wanna live. And all I remember is thinking, I wanna be like that. Ever since I was little, it looked like fun. There's no coincidence. sentence I come. There's no coincidences. I'm gonna die when I'm done. I ain't done yet. Say maybe I'm crazy. Woo! Say maybe I'm crazy. Say maybe I'm crazy. Just like you. Let's go. Say maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. Say I think I'm crazy. Just like you.
Hell yeah. All right, gang, we got one more for you. New jam. What on earth? Just wait. What happened? What? Let's do it. What? Y'all fucked up the intro of my song. Let's go.
Let me tell you now. When I had you to myself, I didn't want you around. Those pretty faces always made you stand out in the crowd. But someone picked you from the bunch. One glance was all it took. Now it's much too late for me to take a second look. Oh, baby, give me one more chance to show you that I love you. Won't you please let me back in your heart? Oh, darling, I was lying to let you go. Let you go, baby. But now since I see you and it's time, I want you back. Yes, I do now. I want you back. Oh, baby. I want you back. Yeah. I want you back. No. Trying to live without your love in one long sleepless night. Let me show you, girl, that I'm no wrong from right. Every street you walk on, I leave tear stains on the ground. Following the girl, didn't even want around. Let me tell you now, oh baby, all I need is one more chance. Show you that I love you. Won't you please let me back in your heart? Oh darling, I was blind to let you go. Let you go, baby. But now since I see you in his arms,
All right, gang, it is time to jump into the main event of the evening. And boy, do we have a doozy. Unplanned, complete surprise. You know, I had a whole different show planned, and then you know how it goes down in the fam. Cousin Jay saw some shit, so just like Uncle Bobby would want, Cousin Jay now has to fucking rant about some shit. And today, what we might call the biggest platform in the fucking so-called, no emphasis on so-called, progressive fucking media, and one of the leading voices, quote unquote, heavy on the air quotes, in fucking atheism and science, in particular evolutionary biology, my own goddamn discipline came together. They came together and disgraced both in one fucking go. I mean, just fucking dog shit. And gang, I am not exaggerating. Of course, you probably saw the title, but just in case you're one of them dumbass Christians out there that really don't like to read too much, fucking Richard Dawkins and David Pakman got together, and it was all types of unnecessary awful. Just why? Nobody asked for this today. Nobody wanted this today. No, come, gang, please go fuck it. What is with the fucking gang? Something is going on. There's something in the water, okay, of the larger platforms that are supposed to be playing for the blue team, gang. I don't understand what is going on lately. Is it the weather? Is it the summer? Does this happen? Dude, does the weather get a little bit warm and they go to some cookouts with their fucking right-wing cousins and shit, and then all of a sudden they start backsliding for the summer? Is that what the fuck? Is this shit seasonal? Is it seasonal fuck-facedness that we're dealing with? This shit is, gang, just fucking, hold on and clench your booty holes, because this is just unnecessary. Oh my goodness. Here we go, gang. All right, let's take off on this shit.
Welcome to the program today. Richard Dawkins, a renowned evolutionary
Okay, right. Some of y'all already see the fucking problem. In the last, I don't know, half century or more, there really hasn't been, especially since the era code, like, what has there been to talk to Richard Fuckface Dawkins about right now other than his fucking transphobia? Right? So you might already smell that some fucked up shit is about to happen. Gang, it's because some fucked up shit is about to happen. Why are we talking to Richard Dawkins? Why? Why? It's already a problem. It's already a situation. It's already fucking heavily sus.
Who has really revolutionized our understanding of genes, memes, and the origins of life. He's also the host of the podcast, The Poetry of Reality with Richard Dawkins, available on YouTube, and we will be certain to link to that. I really appreciate your time, and it's so great to have you on today.
So great. So wonderful.
So maybe to start, you've done so many interviews over the decades. I've reviewed so many of them in preparation for our discussion today. To start with something maybe timely and then work back into some of your
started
other work.
At the bottom.
We are seeing in the
United
States and also elsewhere this new, it's not new, but we're seeing a new wave of attempts to ban certain books, to challenge the validity of certain books, to contest or question whether, in some cases, children, in some cases, high school students, in some cases even beyond that, should be, quote, exposed to certain materials. Can you talk a little bit about whether you see this as a new wave of what, for example, led to the fatwa against Salman Rushdie? Is this a different phenomenon? How do you see it?
Gang, pause the tape. This is just already what you would be hoping for, gang, is that what? This is weird. Are we gonna slow climb this thing? Are we gonna start soft and, just do a little rapport building and getting to the issues? But it already seems a bit tap dancey, right? Like, it's Richard fucking Dawkins. Motherfucker, your mug has been plastered in some questionable places saying questionable things. Do you want to talk about the fucked up shit you've been saying lately? Instead, we're like, I'm gonna throw a softball your way. Are you ready? Fuck out of here, man.
And Salman Rushdie, is this a different phenomenon? How do you see it?
I'm not sure I know what you're talking about. Maybe this is an American phenomenon. What is this new trend you're talking about?
Well, in places like Florida and elsewhere, there are lists of books that have been submitted to be banned, removed from school libraries, told to teachers and librarians you are not allowed to, or it would be damaging to children to teach. That's the general trend I'm referring to.
Okay, are any of my books on the list?
Not on the list I've seen.
That's a shame. I'd rather enjoy that.
It is good publicity in some sense for one's books to be on that list, I'm sure.
Which books are on the list that I ought to know about?
All right. shout out to the Banned Books in the U.S. channel. That's one of the popular mods in this community. Someone wants to drop a link to that channel to be fine. But yeah, shout out to Banned Books in the U.S. I'll see if I can dig it up.
That you ought to know about is harder for me to say, but it's books that teach history of the United States in certain ways that may paint certain chapters of American history in a less than favorable light. It's sometimes books where characters are gay or bisexual, for example, or these. It's really quite a gamut that it runs.
I see. Well, I'm strongly against any kind of censorship of that kind. So that's your answer to the question.
To delve a little further into the idea, you are someone who so many times has debated those with whom you vehemently disagree, whether it's their views about the Bible or empiricism or whatever the case may be. My understanding of your work generally has been that sunlight is a useful disinfectant in many cases. At the same time, there's now a discussion being had about, for example, to make it timely, should empiricists, scientists, doctors debate anti-vaccine individuals? Is it good to take their views head on versus are they given a sort of legitimacy through these debates that may be more damaging? I watched some of your recent conversation with Russell Brand, and although I agree with your perspective of
if y'all want to just DJ, bring that back, like what?
Through these debates that may be more damaging. I watched some of your recent conversation with Russell Brand.
Yeah, gang, your ears weren't fucking deceiving you. That motherfucker really just said, I watched some of your conversations with noted nut job and right-wing conspiracist Russell Brand, and you want to say a little bit more about why the fuck we're doing that shit all of a sudden, gang? I'm telling you, this whole thing is sus.
And although I agree with your perspective completely, I don't know that it went extraordinarily well from the standpoint of changing the minds of his audience.
It's all there. It's all there, right? It's all there, Steph. God damn it.
Earlier about creationists, because once again, the problem is, should you give them a platform by agreeing? If a real scientist appears with a creationist, it kind of makes it look as though there's a sort of level playing field.
Yes.
That somehow there's a debate to be had, and on the other hand, it could be seen as a bit patronizing if you don't, and so I find it a very difficult question. On the whole, I've decided that I will not debate against creationists, at least not naive young Earth creationists, and I took that actually on advice of Stephen Jay Gould, who's normally thought to be a bit of an enemy of mine, but we agree about that, and he advised me strongly not to do it, not to give them the platform. Now,
all right, now he's going to take a little turn here, talk about vaccine stuff, but I'm going to just say, like, I'm hearing this differently now. And I like Stephen Jay Gould. I'm a big fan of his work. It's really relevant to my research, actually, because he did a lot of research on contingency and evolution, which is the topic of my work. And actually, my a lot of the experimental methodology I use was actually inspired by Stephen Jay Gould. With that being said, I disagree with him in terms of his perspective, which a lot of you've probably heard of, like non-overlapping magisteria, the idea that religion and science kind of answer different questions, and therefore they're kind of different in domains and non-overlapping. So, it's all good in the hood type of deal. And he did, I think, identify as some sort of Christian. Sam is just really struggling. Sam, get on. What are you doing? Like, I'm gonna just let him struggle over there anyway. But and why that matters is because I wonder now who this benefits. I think this idea of, well, you don't debate these, wilding out ass ideas. um, okay, but that doesn't seem to have made them go away, right? It doesn't really counter them in any meaningful way. And now I'm starting to see it as one of those things we say that we like because it's comforting. It's like it gives us permission to like not have to worry about it. Doesn't stop them from doing their thing. Doesn't stop them from having this pernicious influence. And I actually think that that's like a problem. Like, and it feels like other issues where it's like we don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. Whereas I think like if you had to really, in a more substantive way, constantly address these issues, especially in public, especially in the mainstream media, especially in people who have huge platforms, then to me it would go a long way in calling out and in a sense shaming the broader biblical Christian like Christofascism that we're dealing with. And now it's like it's almost like coming to this compromise where it's like, hey, we don't want to make Christians look bad, so let's just ignore the fundamentalist creed. Let's just and really it's like it doesn't let us address the broader fundamentalisms that we're dealing with, right? Because most of the Christians would say the Bible's the word of God and it's fucking holy and and all this bullshit. And so, I used to kind of just go along with this, like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. Like they're not worth the time. Don't make it seem like we're on equal footing. But I just no longer think that really serves a progressive interest. And maybe it does, right? But I'm just suspicious of these people telling us this shit. That's just me just keeping it honest. It's like I don't trust these characters anymore. So when they give us these fucking words of wisdom, I'm like, bro, you already suspect to me. Like I already don't think you really think through like what's in the best interest of the people like I'm concerned about. Right? So I don't trust this fucking words of wisdom. I think it's just more enabling my oppressor in a way that fucking makes you comfortable dodging the fucking issue. And also, you're a fucking evolutionary biologist. Fucking grow a pair and stand up for this field. We got fucking work to do. These creationists out here trying to put that shit in the classroom, trying to fucking take over the fucking government. You're just like, come on, bro. You got to do better than that.
Vaccine deniers, I suppose that is a...
And they're definitely not the same people, right, Richard Dawkins? Let's definitely talk about vaccine deniers as though they're a completely separate matter from creationists. Let's just, there's definitely no correlation there at all.
That we ought to
Yeah. All right, gang, we are back. Thanks for bearing with me. All right, here we go.
I suppose that is a debate that we ought to be having, because it is very, very
Talking about vaccine
widespread.
deniers.
Vaccine denial is a very widespread thing, and it influences a lot of people. There are possibilities of presidential candidates being strong vaccine deniers. So I think it is a debate we really do need to have. I'm not the best qualified to do that, but epidemiologists...
Gang, fucking trigger warning, shit's about to get weird.
Doctors, I think, probably need to get out there and have that debate.
One of the, I don't know if criticisms, but maybe cautionary warnings that's often issued in any of these contexts is that these debates, by virtue of their structure, it often ends up that whoever is most charismatic and articulate, rather than whoever is empirically correct, appears to win, for lack of a better term. Is that a problem that is the structure of these conversations, or is it something bigger?
I think it's a big problem. I think that's correct.
Again, we still dancing.
Seem to gain
we're
in
doing circles around the fire.
Especially as many people are just ignorant of what the facts are. And so if somebody sounds plausible and has a loud voice, they are apt to win the argument, although they haven't really won it. They're apt to apparently win the argument. In the case of the vaccination debate, I think I was I forget whether I said this to Russell Brand, but I have said it to somebody else, that I may have been a little bit too gung-ho earlier on in taking on board the doctrine which applies to many other vaccines, for example, the measles vaccine, the MMR vaccine, that getting vaccinated is a public altruistic act. Because if you do not get vaccinated, then you are part of the problem of the spread of the epidemic. And now that's true of other diseases such as measles.
Yes.
But it's possibly not true of COVID. And I've heard conflicting replies to my question about that. There's absolutely no doubt that vaccination against COVID is effective. That's not in question. That's true.
Yes.
What may not be necessarily true is that to refrain from getting vaccinated is itself an antisocial act for epidemiological reasons.
Look at David. Look at David. Just nodding right along.
Yeah, I mean, I think the truth of that has also shifted from the first vaccine tailored to the original variant, where it seemed from the data that indeed it did prevent infection and transmission, to these later variants and later vaccines where it seems quite effective at preventing one's own more serious case of COVID, but maybe not effective at preventing transmission. I feel like the problem comes where if our counterparts in these discussions are operating in bad faith, where they were saying it wasn't effective from the beginning, we end up almost having to appear to backpedal because the facts have changed.
Yes, and because we are honest.
Because the facts have
to some degree because we are honest. You know, I'm wondering.
Pause the fucking tape. All right, gang. Whew. Y'all already know this is my favorite fucking topic, and this is my least favorite stance on said fucking topic. We need to be talking about COVID, because we're living in the middle of a goddamn pandemic, fuckfaces. All right, but this is sitting on some bullshit. First off, just no, gang. Just fucking no. I notice how many fucking late nights they have spent in the fucking dance studio, spinning around the fucking bar and fucking doing the dips and the dives and the kicks and all of that shit, because they are so fucking careful with their fucking wording. Well, we may have been a bit premature in saying that the vaccine is completely effective to stop the fucking spread. Like, first off, when we were dealing with what we were dealing with, that we're still dealing with, we have to base the decisions off the information we have. So, the anti-vaxxers are fucking assholes. They're selfish fucking pricks. And then also notice the careful wording of, well, I may have been too quick to judge about it being an altruistic act. Motherfucker, nobody cares about whether or not it's fucking altruistic. Like, notice they're placing at the bar at something one does that's like a sacrifice for you, strictly for the benefit of others that you don't benefit from. Well, if you're gonna set the bar at fucking altruism, this has never been about it being altruistic. It's about, like, it's the best way to protect you, it's the best way to protect the population. And that still remains to be true. And it is effective at reducing the spread. The only reason it's not as effective as it should be at stopping the spread is because not as many people are vaccinated as should be. And they don't even follow through with that messaging. It's just like, oh no, sorry, we may have been wrong. Sorry, maybe we should have been jerking off the anti-vaxxers all along. Because maybe they're technically correct about, again, it's the same fucking script we always get. Maybe they have just a little bit shred of truth if we grant them, if instead of an inch, if we grant them a fucking mile and then come up with our own fucking creative fucking language, just literally write some bars. That's what they do. They literally rewrite right-wing talking points for you. Like, listen, that is not the way. No, listen, that fucking, that my body, my choice bullshit, that's not cute. That's not fucking cute. Nobody fucking likes that shit, bro. Let me show you how to do it, man. The way you do it, man, is you tell them, well, it isn't actually completely effective at stopping the spread. Right? See, that's hard. They're not gonna know what to do with that. They're not gonna know that's gonna catch them off guard. Huh? And then you tell them you were wrong. You were wrong about whether or not it's altruistic. Nigga, nobody says shit about it being altruistic. Just get your monkey ass vaccinated. It's fucking ridiculous. And again, we're still living in the middle of this shit. It's so insensitive to have these fucking conversations. You know what you're doing. You know you are rubbing down with that sweet, sweet body lotion all the fucking grifters. Oh, and just like I said on Russell Brand, if not, I should have said it when I was on Russell Brand. Gang, no. I know when the motherfucker's betraying me. Okay, I'm not gonna be the gang. Don't be stupid. Okay, we done walked in on these motherfuckers on their knees, servicing somebody in our fucking bedroom. Now, please do not act like these motherfuckers are not betraying us. Right the fuck? This is fucking gang. This is hot off the press. This is like this shit came out like 30 minutes to airtime. When I tell you we made a hard U-turn for shit, we was like, turn this show all the way around.
I reviewed some of your older debates that you did with Young Earth creationists. There was a woman whose name I now don't remember, but it's quite a highly viewed debate that's on YouTube that you probably did 20 years ago from a Young Earth creationist organization.
Welcome back, Randy.
Is your view, do you feel that your opponents in whatever debates you are engaging in have either declined in intellectual rigor over the last 20 or 30 years, or have operated in increasingly bad faith over the last 20 or 30 years, or has that not been a change that you observe?
About the good or bad faith evolution
Wendy Wright,
of
that's exactly right.
interlocutors.
I'm not much of an observer of changing the changing scene.
You're not much of an observer of changing the changing scene.
Years,
got it.
Things have changed. As I said, I don't really do debates anymore on that subject. So I haven't really the experience to answer that question. And I haven't looked at any data.
Is your sense...
Gang, I'm going to just tell you the truth. Richard Dawkins is just tired, bro. Richard Dawkins, just go away, bro. Just go do the thorough thing. Go up to a cabin and fucking scribble down some shit. I don't know, bro. But like, just like go away. Like, dude is just, I don't know. I don't really keep up on what's going on anymore. But you know, and again, gang, watch how he says he doesn't keep up with what's going on anymore. But it kind of seems like he has a lot to say about what's been going on.
More broadly, that there is a difference today, at least when it comes to the expectations of scientists like you and others, when it comes to balancing what is empirically true and what is socially or culturally acceptable to say. Maybe I'm sort of getting at either political correctness or whatever phrase we want to apply.
Come on, David, really?
Have scientists had to adapt to a different environment in the publishing and discussion of their work?
I fear they have. I think that this is true of some scientific journals, actually lots of scientific journals, notably Nature, Science, Scientific American, where editorial policy has swung in a very political direction to the point where scientists have to conform to a kind of political orthodoxy which almost amounts to a religion. And this, I think, goes against the spirit, the open spirit of science, which I know, gang. I already know. You're doubting your ears. Don't stop doubting your ears. I already ran it back. Just fucking play. Scientific American, where
no, that's the part where you said Nature, you stupid fuck. Oh my goodness.
This is true of some scientific journals, actually lots of scientific journals, notably Nature, Science, Scientific American, where editorial policy has swung in a very political direction to the point where scientists have to conform to a kind of political orthodoxy which almost amounts to a religion. And this, I think, goes against the spirit, the open spirit of science, which I've always treasured throughout my scientific career. And I do feel that this is a very bad retrograde tendency.
Gang, if it looks and feels like this motherfucker would be a perfect tag team partner for Kent Hovind right the fuck now, it's because he would be a perfect tag team partner for Kent fucking Hovind right now. Well, I'm afraid that scientism has become a fucking religion that is fucking indoctrinated by the dogma of the woke mind virus.
What is the, in your opinion, right way to fight that? Is it, some will say it's simply to keep saying the truth and but the truth is that once you're really in the middle of it, that can be easier said than done. Jobs can be at stake, so on and so forth. What is the right way to push back against that?
Well, obviously, my first thought is that the right way is to present the evidence. But if you're a young assistant professor or a young postdoc or something,
yes,
who is in danger of losing your job, losing your grant, losing your colleagues, if you speak out, and one hears horror stories of this happening, it's a tragedy if people do have to self-censor. And I feel it's a responsibility for people like me who are retired and no longer have a job to lose to speak out on their behalf.
At least in some theoretical sense.
That and again, that was also disgusting. Just hey, as part of the good old boys club who y'all niggas can't really fuck with no more. Let me just say that this whole direction you're going, I don't really think it's the way to go. And by the way, I'm just speaking up on behalf of all the young faculty, all the young up and comers. That's who I'm. Nigga, you ain't talking for. Richard Dawkins. Can you even name a postdoc? do you even know anybody that isn't? Do you even have friends that are early career faculty? I mean, I'm kidding, of course, but I'm really not kidding because. Who the fuck hangs out with Richard Dawkins anymore? I mean, seriously, it's just ridiculous, and it's very patronizing, and it's gross. And it's gross. And it's just like, again, you heard it. You heard it. I'm tired. I don't work anymore. Nobody can fuck with me no more. Grandpa, just go somewhere and stay off Twitter, please.
Tenure would
or
be
stay
a protection
on Twitter
for
at this
those
point.
who
Stay
are
on Twitter, stay off Threads or whatever
retired.
people are trying to do.
But there's also
just
criticisms
spout
of
on
tenure,
Facebook into the void.
at institutions of higher learning.
Alcohol
Do you have
on
a
the floor.
position on the role of tenure in either enabling these conversations or not?
Be right back.
Not really. I mean, I think it's something that once you've been promised something, people should not renege on that promise. So if you've been given tenure in good faith, then that should not be undermined. It should be upfront. In other words, that tenure doesn't actually mean tenure.
Right. No, without a doubt. Let me switch gears a little bit. I was watching the trailer for the new podcast, The Poetry of Reality with Richard Dawkins, and I noted that the voiceover from the trailer is quite a similar script of sorts from your 1998 book, Unweaving the Rainbow. And one of the interesting things that's often brought up to me and to others is that sometimes the view of folks like you and others is that when you remove some kind of biblical story, God, creation story, etc., you're left with a sort of nihilistic pessimism. There's no meaning and purpose, etc. And you've talked about this before, that much of the meaning is the meaning we assign rather than what some arbitrary text assigns or whatever the case may be. Can you talk about that a little bit, in the sense that what's concerning to me is when I hear an argument from a religious individual that says, how can you really prove to me murder is wrong if you don't have some text to tell you that? My reaction always is, you're telling me the only thing preventing you from murder is some religious text? I mean, it seems as though there's another side to that argument.
This is just
isn't there?
seriously
Yes.
like,
Well, coming to
first
the first-
off, all right, him throwing tenure under the bus, that was fucked up. I didn't miss that. I just want to mention that real quickly, because again, he wants to get rid of the type of protections that he's also trying to undermine. Like, whatever, just really fucking pisses me off.
You're perfectly right.
Literally
of course,
pulling up the ladder behind
the
you.
Poetry of Reality trailer is straight from my book.
Been
Unweaving
considered the
Rainbow, and
hallmark of
that
academic
entire
freedom
book
since the beginning.
is about the poetry of
Dipshit.
science. It's about the what nonsense it is to say that science somehow is nihilistic, it somehow takes away from the poetry, the romance of, well, the spirituality, actually, in one sense, of science. So yes, that's the answer to that. Now, the thing about, if you don't believe in God, what's to stop you murdering? I mean, if anybody says that, I think it was Herb Silverman said, I'm going to step away from you. I mean, you're not the kind of person I would like to know. If that's the only reason why you don't go around murdering people, is that you're frightened of God. What a terrible, terrible reason that is. What a terrible basis for morality that is. If that's what you call morality, then I don't wish to know you.
Yeah, I mean, it gets to often this conversation of the moral relativism and the idea that anything that can be science's best approximation simply is not as definitive at some kind of prescribed set of rules, the likes of which we get from religion. Now, I would say that's a virtue of science, and the fact that it only goes as far as what can be demonstrated and not beyond, and sometimes it may not feel as prescriptive, but there are those who say it simply doesn't feel as definitive or as strong to me.
Well, they may say
he's
that.
He's just running out the clock with softball questions.
Morality, what's right and wrong, is something we have to discuss. It's something which actually does evolve on a cultural scale, on the scale of cultural evolution. It evolves over the centuries. And what we take to be morality today is very different from what it was 100 years ago, 200 years ago, even a few decades ago, actually. I've called it the shifting moral zeitgeist. And it's manifestly the case that not that long ago, just about everybody was racist, just about everybody was sexist, and we're not anymore. And things are moving in the right direction. And it's quite mysterious, but nevertheless obviously true that things are moving in the right direction.
And this is how you know that they know better. It's like he is telling you that he understands that over time, what's acceptable and unacceptable shifts, and it shifts towards inclusiveness. It shifts towards progress. His own examples were racism and sexism. So to me, the chances that he does not understand how fucking stupid his transphobic rhetoric is between 0 and 0. There's something fucked up with this person right here, and I hate to say it, he's just becoming like he's just doing that hardcore conservative fucking turn. He's getting lauded and applauded for it. And so it just becomes a fucking reinforcing cycle. And now he thinks he's literally, you know, the victim of his own destructive fucking dialogue. And so he's just totally bought into this bullshit. And I don't understand why David Pakman even had him on. And I also don't understand the point of just filling the fucking time with stupid ass fucking questions that literally nobody cares what Richard Dawkins has to say. And these aren't even fucking interesting topics. They're just, anybody who's the least bit familiar with Richard Dawkins could have answered most of these questions. All he has done is give him more opportunity to fucking rub salt in the wound.
Clear what's going on. I'm not clear what it is. One can use a phrase like it's something in the air, something hovering in the air, but we mustn't get mystical.
It's recognizing the humanity of other people. I don't know.
It's an amalgam. It's a combination of, parliamentary discussion, judicial decisions, just plain conversations in pubs, in dinner parties, in courts of law, in journalism, in newspapers, in books. Something changes as the decades go by, such that our moral standards move in a consistent direction.
Yeah,
and that direction
and
has
all of them
absolutely
politics
nothing to do
are
with
fucking
scripture.
hardcore conservative
Far
leaning
from
and
it. And
dominated
thank
by
goodness it
fucking
doesn't,
funding and
because
just fuck out of
if
here. Acting like
we lived-
academia is a fucking
If we lived our moral lives by
liberal
scripture, we'd be
oasis
stoning
of
adulteresses to death
communist
and things like
fucking
that.
professors.
And speaking of which, you mentioned moving in the right
unfireable
direction.
communist
Steven
professors.
Pinker and others have been criticized for laying out the perspective that by applying some very objective measures, infant mortality, life expectancy, likelihood of dying in a war, et cetera, that number of people living in abject poverty, that things are better than ever. And one of the big counterpoints to that has been, while that may be true, our standards and expectations for particularly Western democracies and rich nations should have actually been raised so dramatically that it's not necessarily the big win someone like Pinker points out to say, okay, there's fewer people living on the equivalent of $1 a day now, that we're actually failing to solve.
Lena, just more fever dream. More fever dream. You know, just more fever dream. Lately, all the fucking progressive leftist atheist people have just been throwing the fucking movement under the bus. And after a fucking, I don't know if it's been a week, month, or 13 years of the fucking slow annihilation that is the blow up of the Young Turks, everybody has just been super double clinched booty holes. Like, I hope David Pakman don't do no stupid shit. David, just stay in your lane. Just keep it cool. There's a lot of fucking drama going on right now, David Pakman. Just keep everything cool. And we wake up and this motherfucker is like, I'm gonna sit down for 30 fucking minutes with Richard fucking Dawkins and do everything I can to stroke this man off and avoid talking about his problematic fucking rhetoric.
Of solvable problems, hunger, for example, or whatever the case may be. Is your view more in one direction or the other, or more in between, a balanced view?
Is the point you're making that it's the danger of becoming complacent because of a book like Pinker's saying things are getting better, therefore we don't need to work to make them even better still? Is that
I don't know that that's my argument, but I'm sort of voicing those who say that the measures may not actually be the right measures for how we evaluate how well things are going for Homo sapiens on planet Earth?
Well, I think we obviously need to try to make things better still, but I think Steven Pinker's, one of his main points is that we are so pessimistic, and the kind of thing that gets reported as news is always bad news, and you never get a news headline that says something positive, because it's kind of boring. It's not a thing that journalists are interested in.
Yeah, I'm on a list of good news stories, and very often you can look at them and say, that's great news, it will never get attention, because it's usually something along the lines of breast cancer survivability over the last 15 years has increased 38%. That's extremely tangible, meaningful for people who get sick and their families and loved. It's extraordinarily meaningful, and it makes a terrible news headline for for-profit media.
I mean, one reason for that is that it's not a sudden thing. It's a gradual trend.
Yes.
And I suppose if there were a sudden breakthrough, a sudden discovery that made breast cancer survival dramatically improve overnight, then I guess that would count as news.
When it comes to more specifically now, in terms of progress versus regression, the threat of Christian nationalism in the United States and around the world, and this group that, while maybe 30 years ago they felt the same way, they were a little more coy and slick about how they expressed it, where now we actually have elected officials in the United States who openly say...
Gang, this is more feeding your fucking children s'mores for fucking Thanksgiving dinner. Just no substance. This is the difference between in a wrestling match where we tell a fucking story when we start at the finish, and we work the finish throughout the fucking match, and everything makes sense because it's all part of a story that goes through to the end. This is like, yeah, you guys got 25 minutes to get out there. Okay, cool. And then they just go out there. I'm gonna do my moves, and then you're gonna do your moves, and then I'm gonna do some more of my moves, and then you're gonna do some more of your moves, and then I'm gonna do some more of my moves, and then you're gonna do some more moves, and I'm gonna hit you with my finisher, and then we go home. All right, cool, let's go do that. Gang, these people, they're just. He's like, what I got? I got 30 minutes with Richard Dawkins. I got 30 minutes. All right, go run that clock. So, is Richard Dawkins your legal name? Yes, sir. My name is Richard Dawkins. That is indeed the name my mother gave to me. And it says here, Richard Dawkins, that you are an evolutionary biologist. Is that correct? Yes, I went to school for evolution. Gang, this is asking Richard Dawkins a bunch of fucking questions that nobody gives a fuck what Richard Dawkins thinks. And a total dodge. This is a dodge. This is when you bring somebody on your show, you know they are in the middle of some shit, and you do everything to dance around talking about the shitstorm they are in, which raises serious questions as to your motivation to bring them onto your platform to begin this. And you know this motherfucker is in the middle of a fucking right-wing grift tour that literally includes fucking Russell Brand. And you're like, yeah, why don't you just make the David Pakman show one of your fucking stops? Hey, what up, lefties? I'm Richard Dawkins. Fuck the church. It's been great. See y'all later.
This should be a Christian nation. Christian nationalism is correct. The Christian doctrine should actually determine civil government and how our society is organized. Has your view of the threat of that movement intensified since you wrote, for example, The God Delusion?
I am a distant observer of the American scene, and I notice that people, that the Christian nationalists you're talking about, simply lie about the Constitution and about the intentions of the founding fathers. It's
they do.
Absolutely clear that they are telling untruths. It's very different over here, of course, because we genuinely are. I mean, in Britain, we are founded in Christianity, in the sense that the monarch is the head of the Church of England, for example. Yes. This is a historical accident. It has an oddly paradoxical
But
effect.
again, interestingly enough, speaking of paradoxical effects, your advice is we should not debate creationists. So we should avoid, again, gang, this is the problem with the fact that people are not willing to be uncomfortable in our society. We cannot deal with this fucking stack of problems Christianity brings upon us without dealing with the fucking problem of Christianity. And it is just so ridiculous to watch people who are fucking famous and have made millions of fucking dollars telling everybody how fucked up religion is, but you put a live camera and a microphone in this motherfucker and they can't seem to identify the motherfucking problem in the room. They're like, oh, them, yeah, don't pay them no mind. No. It's not even worth your time. It's not even worth your time. Fuck out of here.
Which is that it kind of makes religion boring. It's not a big problem in the way that it is in America.
So having a state religion
is
good because then everybody just
it's not an established
accepts
religion.
it, and
it's something that's open to free enterprise to
weird
compete over. Therefore, religion is kind of exciting. You have these great big churches with people waving their arms around and dancing and things. We don't have that here, not much anyway. And I think it's partly because we do have an established church.
Yeah, when I speak to my Italian friends,
they
are always very quick to say, "Oh no, our elected officials are
not
Catholic.
all of
I'm
them,
Catholic.
but
my
enough
family's
of them
Catholic."
that it's a
and when you
problem.
probe a little bit about what that means for their beliefs and their everyday life, it means very little in the way of policy making, the way that it does in the United States.
And in belief also, if you said to them, "Do you actually believe in the transubstantiation? Do you actually believe that the wine becomes the blood of Christ?" They probably don't. They probably don't even realize what it is to be Catholic. They're born Catholic, they're baptized Catholic, they're confirmed Catholic. And so they think they are Catholic, but they don't really believe
I know, Lena.
In that sense, as someone who's been a very strong critic of organized religion,
do
you find that version, for example, of Catholicism that I describe, or what you're describing in England, is it relatively benign, or is it only benign in that it's not really the type of religion in that,
I just got to say something, gang. You can be rich and be like anti-capitalist too. Like, can we just acknowledge that? Like, I don't know. I think do they think that we're just gonna like come to their houses and be like, oh, you finally make sense, so we're just gonna take all your money and your power now? That's not gonna happen. So like, you could at least like use your words to like advocate for people that are less fortunate than you are. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like if you're Packins, if you're Dawkins, you know what I mean? Like it's cool. Y'all have made it. Like, congratulations. And yes, in this capitalist fucking regime that all of us live under, we'd all love to be a bit more comfortable too. And if any of us can fucking escape poverty or the threat of poverty and find ourselves with some material fucking long-term security and shit, bravo, good for you. But you can still think for yourself and use your microphone and use your words and advocate for people who are less fortunate than you are. You don't have to make a hard turn just because you're getting older and getting richer. Like, you don't. It's not an inevitability, y'all. I just had this, just a public service announcement, because I think people that get money, it seems to be something about the money that just makes them feel like they just gotta make that hard right turn. They gotta make that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
That it sometimes claims to be, like you're saying, it's not maybe really Catholicism.
I think it is relatively benign. When I stress the word relatively, I mean, when you think of the competition, when you think of Islam, I'm sometimes inclined to agree with Ayaan Hirsi Ali that in certain parts of the world, at least, we need Christianity as a sort of buttress against totally something true. Worse. Hilaire Belloc's line, always keep a hold of nurse for fear of finding something worse. I mean, Christianity is bad enough, but it's not the worst religion around.
Is that clear in your mind, this sort of ranking of the risk posed by different religions?
I think it is pretty clear. I mean, Christianity was so appalling in the Middle Ages, and it's kind of had quite a few centuries to grow up. And so I think that there is a possibility of ranking there, yes.
Do you...
Is that racism I smell? No, gang, look, no. Look, I'm not going to sit here and... All right, I would actually sit here and rank religions in a tier list, but that's because I'm a goddamn counter apologist. And at the end of the day, I would just fucking no. Just no. This is you can't do this. No, Christianity is as fucked up as any. Matter of fact, look, I'm not going to do the whole bit right now, gang, but let's just call it what it is. It's called soft culting, okay? This is what happens when a cult just fucking sets a standard that's like fucking Heaven's Gate. And they're like, look, we're not going to make you fucking live in a single mansion and change your name and dictate what profession you have to have and make you drink Kool-Aid and wear Nikes and put a purple sheet over your head and die, okay? So... aren't we the nice guys? Aren't you guys ready to join? Aren't we great? We just want 10% of your income and for you to disown your gay child. So, yeah, that'll be all. Like no, we're not gonna do this whole thing. And it also just reeks of Islamophobia. It really does. It really does. And again, just like you can find fucking examples of soft, progressive fucking Christians who have grown up and they've just matured in their faith. You could find Muslims that are cool as shit, okay? You can find Muslims that ain't gonna bother you. Okay, you can find Muslims that are down with the LGBT, the T, the Q, the I, and the A, and all of that good stuff, but their religion is still sitting on some bullshit. And I don't know how to split hairs in the Yahweh club. I think the whole Yahweh fucking family of religions are all amongst the fucking worst, and they all rely on a fucking common ancestry of fucked up ideology. So I just say no to this. It just bothers me. I say no. Nope. Not with
I mean,
that either.
what does that landscape look like to you?
Well, I mean, it's one of the doctrines of Islam that the penalty for apostasy is death. Well, I think even the most fervent Christian nationalist wouldn't say that somebody who renounces Christianity should be killed.
No, I've had Christians on my show who say gays should be killed,
surprised.
which I don't know if it's
do.
Better or worse.
They do. Have you talked to Rebecca Davis lately?
It's about equally bad, but
I would say so.
But that's not a religion anyway. Well, it may be.
Gang, please do not believe this man. There are Christians, and if you have not seen one on YouTube, then welcome to YouTube. I guess you haven't been here that long. Christians will straight up look in that camera and tell you, your whole family, and all them folks are worthy of death. Okay, and it is only by this good offer of this grace from sweet Jesus Titty Christ that you might become worthy of the fucking gift that is called life, gang. Please believe me when I tell you, Christians think we all deserve to die. And that's just the beginning of the shit, gang. They actually think we all deserve eternal punishment. And this man's gonna sit up here smiling, talking about Islam like he don't know the basic facts of Christianity. Again, gang, this man wrote possibly the fucking most popular anti-theism book of all time. So what the fuck? This is just bullshit.
Fermented by religion, but it's not actually saying if you give up Christianity, you should be killed.
No, that's
Bro, you have not talked to my family, dog.
You think that? What? I mean, whenever this conversation is had, someone will invariably say, oh, well, what about Buddhism? Here's a bunch of very peaceful things about Buddhism. And then someone will come back and say, well, okay, but then here's some other stuff about Buddhism that maybe is actually a little more concerning. Do you concern yourself with looking into the details of some of these smaller religions relatively and going down the list further and
Dawkins
further? Or is that not really a concern?
Bro,
what
book are
really
you selling?
done much of that. No, I don't.
You got a new book out?
I'm not that keen on giving a kind of rank order.
Fair. No, I think I think that's fair. Let's talk about one more general area in the time that we have left. You've said many things over the last 2 years related to the discussion about gender and transgender and gender identity, etc. Some of
Gang, this man has a 30-minute interview with Richard Dawkins, who, like I said at the beginning, gang, in the COVID era, in a bit predating that, when the fuck else has Richard Dawkins been in the news? When have you fucking thought about Richard Dawkins? You know, I ain't gonna lie to you, gang. I read, what is it, The God Delusion? I read that shit literally in my mom's apartment in the beginning of the pandemic, literally March 2020. And the book was old as shit then. I have not, nobody has literally, he's done nothing other than been stripped of a fucking Human of the Year award or whatever, and then gone on again a right-wing grift tour all up on Piers Morgan and all this type of shit, doubling down on his transphobic comments. You have a 30-minute spot with this mother, and you are waiting till 25 minutes into the conversation to, sir, well, some people in some of your things, you are you transphobic? Don't hurt me, don't hurt me, don't hurt me, don't hurt me, don't hurt me. Nigga, please.
Some of which you've said that I agree with, and some of which you've said that maybe I agree with a little less. One of the most interesting things that I heard over the last few months was Neil deGrasse Tyson in a conversation with a right-wing person from the United States say, listen, there are all sorts of conversations and debates to be had about this issue and the connection to whether it's mental illness or whether it's age appropriateness of certain decisions that are made, etc. Can we all agree that gender is expressed on a spectrum? And what I found interesting about Neil deGrasse Tyson saying this
Okay, stop the tape, pause the tape. Gang, we were reviewing a video called The Most Annoying Non-Religious People, gang. Neil deGrasse Tyson is also sus, gang. And yes, that does officially mean I am the most fucking, I'm the top dog of black scientists that you know of. Don't lie. You don't know no other black scientist besides me. I'm fucking top ace dog because Neil deGrasse Tyson is fucking problematic, let's say the least. Like, but no, it's just, seriously though, no, gang, this cannot be our fucking roster. We are defecting. We're doing something else, gang. This two-party, these people they're not leftists, they're not progressives, they're not woke, we all you got, motherfuckers. We are the fucking woke mob. It's like us and these other small fucking communities that keep it real 24/7, 365. The rest of these motherfuckers have sold us up the river. And so I don't even like, I just know. No, I don't hate these people, but they're fuck them. No, maybe I do hate. They're not the fucking lineup, gang. You do not get to say that our perspective is represented by David Pakman and the fucking Young Turks and fucking Richard Dawkins and fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson. The fuck at no. They're all in the no pile. No. Look, we gonna take the small little hardcore leftist channels that we got left and deal with that. We gonna show up with the, I don't even want to start naming people because if I name them, they gonna do some turf shit tomorrow morning too. But y'all know who we like, and we finding new people, gang. That's the one good thing that comes out of this is everybody starts roasting the Young Turks and everybody starts calling out, and then we figure out who our fucking team is. But we don't care. We don't care if they're smaller. We don't care if they have fucking 20 fucking followers or if they got 2,000 fucking followers. If they're based as shit, we are fucking down with them. And if they're big as shit, we don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck. I don't care how many millions of fucking followers you got. This is some bullshit. And you do some bullshit, we're just gonna be like, nope, we don't fuck with you. Sorry, you gotta go bye.
That it's less a conversation about biology and sex and genitalia.
Oh, here we go.
But it is a question about what I think is an undeniable reality about the world, which is at minimum, the expression of gender is on a spectrum, and that maybe that can serve as a starting point for some of these discussions. Would you agree with that, which seems to me like an uncontroversial statement, or is that a problematic statement to you?
I'm a biologist, and what I really object to is the subversion of language. Talking about a woman's penis, for example. I mean, that is just playing around, playing fast and loose with the English language. And
Yeah, gang, you know what? That's what's going on. The problem is not the fucking trans erasure. The problem is not the fucking war against the LGBT community. None of that's a problem. No. Discrimination against queer people? No. Violence against queer people? Nope. Denying children health care? Nope, that's not the problem, gang. The subversion of the English language. Because people say that women have penises, which, so I know you've read a lot of books about biology, Mr. Dawkins, but, I'm just trying to say it how Dave would say it. Sir, if maybe you should consider some women have penises. You fucking asshole! Like, what is wrong with him? What is wrong? I can't. I'm not gonna take my brain's gonna. No, bro. What is wrong with you? That is not a problem in the world. That is not even. I can't tell you it's low on the list of problems in the world. It's literally not on the list. It's not a real problem.
I'm a biologist who needs to talk about.
No. See. Look, watch. I'm about to downgrade him. I'm about to do something right. Watch me. We could gaslight on the left too. Okay, we could subvert the English language. Okay, we could play your fucking word games. I'm about to demote his ass. Richard Dawkins is a retired science communicator. You see what I did there? One, I said his ass is retired. He's all the way up out the game. And then two, see, I took a shot at him because he's not really an active researcher and he's not actively doing the work. Instead, he's just running his fucking yaps all over the fucking inner tubes, okay? So that makes his ass a retired science communicator. Yeah. No. See that? You like that? Like them word games
Sex,
right there?
And the difference between male and female, which is absolutely clear. It's one of the very few binaries we actually have in biology. Race is not a binary. Race is a genuine continuum, obviously, because of all hybridization.
Exactly, Maya.
Almost everything else you can think of is a continuum: short versus tall, fat versus thin. All those things are a continuum. Sex is the one thing which actually is a binary. And I think that messing around with the English language, and, well, any language for that matter, but I happen to speak English, is a subversion, a perversion of clarity of thought.
And again, bro, like, you're not just about to sit up here and call this movement a perversion. Like that, see, that's subtle. And it's subtle, right? Because if you tried to hold his feet to the fire, they'd be like, no, he said the way they subvert the English language is a perversion, right? But bro, we ain't about to fall for the word games. Yes, the woke fucking mob hears you talking about the queer community and drop the fucking dog whistle perversion, and we gonna be all up in your ass correctly. Because that's all that shit is. That's a fucking straight up fucking dog whistle, and you know that. You know that is the most loaded fucking word you could use when discussing this issue, and you do it anyway. And David Pakman gonna sit up here and act like it's not even a fucking issue.
Clarity of speech for political ends.
Yeah, and I think most of my progressive colleagues would agree that the biological circumstances undeniably are men, women, some percentage born intersex.
Pause the tape. Nope. No. He just said it's a binary. Yeah, he said it's a binary. So that shit you talking about, where it's, men, a lot of men and a lot of women, and also a whole lot of people that's in between or outside the bounds of either. Yeah, that shit's called the spectrum. That's called the spectrum, David. So what he said that it's a binary, that was wrong. So what you should have said was not, yeah. And most of my progressive colleagues would agree, right? Y'all want to get this money? Most of my progressive colleagues, y'all want to get paid? Y'all would agree, right? You would agree? No. You tell this fuckface he's fucking wrong.
That's
tiny percentage.
Yes,
and as a biologist, he should know.
No need to exaggerate.
What? Like, again. What is it? What's that supposed to mean? A tiny. No. It's either a spectrum or it's not a spectrum. And actually, the percentage is not that tiny. It's not a tiny percentage. When you put all the people that are affected, it's not a tiny percentage. Also, I'm gonna teach you how the shit gets exponential real quickly. You know what all them percentage of people have? Yeah, it's called family and friends and coworkers and loved ones and fucking internet homies and gaming buddies and all that shit. And so all of them people are a big ass fucking community. Matter of fact, the queer community itself is a pretty good fucking chunk of humanity all by their damn selves. And then we throw in all the people who care and want to see shit get better. Yeah, that's a whole lot of us. And we gonna keep being all up in your fucking monkey ass with this bullshit, man.
But the percentages. Yeah. Is it also, in your mind, a problem to separate biological sex and gender expression? Do you have an issue? Language aside, is that a concern to you?
Easiest questions.
I am not particularly bothered if somebody wants to present themselves as the opposite of the sex that they are. I do object if they insist that other people recognize that. And I mean, I support Jordan Peterson in this, if nothing else. Objects to the Canadian government.
Right, gang. I warned you. I know I didn't give you enough time to really do anything about it, but He actually said the words. I agree with Jordan Peterson in this regard because he doesn't want to be which again, gang, I'm going to just give you the actual position of people who actively teach and do research at a university. Yeah, not misgendering our students is part of the fucking duty of being a decent human being, but it's certainly a fucking duty of a faculty member because you have to make sure that your learning environment is not a fucking hostile environment. And since the LGB, the T, the Q, the I, the A, the ally, all that shit is fucking considered a protected class, you don't fucking you don't discriminate against your students. And so, gang, people need to be happy to celebrate your uniqueness, or they don't have no business being in your fucking life. And I don't give a fuck what your research does. If you literally cannot be bothered to call people the correct pronouns, you're just a fucking asshole, and you don't deserve to have a job at a public university. It's that fucking simple.
Making it mandatory that he should call people by
mandatory. It should
like
be
they,
fucking mandatory
when they are. I mean, he's prepared to do that as a matter of courtesy, but not as a matter of compulsion. And I thoroughly support him on that.
You know, I don't have the bill.
Yes, and David Pakman, watch
in front of me, but when I looked at it 18 months ago, I struggled to find anywhere where he talks about threat of jail if you use the wrong pronoun. I did not find that, but since I don't have it in front of me, maybe we'll table those particulars. But that being said, what about?
Maybe we'll just skip over the fact that Jordan Peterson's full of shit. All right, continue.
For example, things like arresting doctors who provide certain gender-affirming care, as it's called. Maybe you have an issue with the term or not, but what about the arresting of doctors, for example? Does that not start to bite a little bit to...
Which doctors have doctors been arrested for that?
No, these are bills that have been proposed in the United States. It has not happened, to my knowledge, fortunately.
Children or adults?
We've seen both in different states.
Well, I would have strong objection to doctors injecting minors, children, or
just take a big old bite of the turf
on them to change their sex.
And as far as adults, you have no issue?
Well,
have got an issue there too.
I think if they've thought about it properly, like Jan Morris, for example, who I read years ago, one of the first of trans people that I read, and greatly respected her struggle that she went through in order to change sex from male to female. She really, really put herself through it, and clearly sincere, clearly suffered from gender dysphoria, no doubt about that. And I
again, like, just an asshole. Like, this is why it's irresponsible to have him on a major platform talking about this issue. Why does somebody have to prove to your satisfaction that they are genuine in their transition and that they've suffered sufficiently to warrant them handling their business? And why do you think you're adding something to the conversation by categorically denying this care to minors? This is not any different than any other area of denying health care to children, which is child abuse. And fucked up that you should even suggest such a thing. And totally irresponsible to represent this as fucking legitimate concern you have as a fucking biologist. No, it's genuine bigotry you have as a fucking asshole.
My hat off to her and to the doctors who helped her.
Oh, she
fucking met the bar.
She cleared my hurdles.
A craze,
an obsession,
mimetic
a craze,
epidemic.
An epidemic.
Which is
again, you're just comparing it to a fucking disease. And this motherfucker sat up here and said that the anti-vaxxers might not be that bad after all, gang. In the same conversation, he said the anti-vaxxers might not be that bad after all. He's going to turn around and say, but that fucking transness is like a goddamn epidemic. The goddamn woke mind virus, y'all. And David Pakman is just like, oh, Dr. Dawkins, this is so good to have you here today. I'm so glad you stopped by the David Pakman show. Could you tell my man Russell Brand that I said hi? He hasn't invited me on yet. I hope everything's okay.
Which is spreading like an epidemic of measles or something like that.
Like an epidemic
listen,
of
we're
measles.
Obviously we're not going to resolve this today, but
we're not going to
it.
resolve it.
I
you're not going to push back
some of the concerns I've seen you share, with regard to
gang.
Children, with regard to questions about some of these treatments, etc. And I think that these should all be questions that should be had and asked and answered in good faith with data and empiricism.
You think good faith cis white guys should sit around and debate the fucking data of trans people's lives? Gang, this is not a scientific fucking matter. And this is where everybody takes their fucking science shit way too far. Science does not have data on everything. It is not a fucking magical data factory where you just wish you had some data on something, and don't worry, the scientists will just take your fucking a la carte order and they'll be right back with that motherfucking data. And in the meantime, all the trans people, put your lives on hold while we, I don't know, y'all know science funding kind of tight right now, but we'll get around to it eventually. This isn't about data. It isn't about biology. It isn't about fucking science. It's about fucking human beings who get to fully participate in society. We don't give a fuck about your silly ass games, okay? They get to play sports, all of them until further notice. Shut the fuck up. Nobody cares. Stop. Just stop. You're fucking bigots and it's bullshit. And David Pakman, this is the most disappointed I've been in David Pakman.
And I also can't help but see that trans people and also trans kids have become a very ugly scapegoat of a movement that 15 years ago was mostly targeting gay men. And so my desire would be, and you tell me if you think it's possible, that we can ask all of these questions in good faith while making it clear.
No, we can't just ask questions in good faith anymore. Again, how does he gonna sit here and act like he doesn't know? He is lifting. He is squatting so he can have the proper form, so he can properly lift the just asking questions bucket, so he can fucking carry some fucking water for the fucking right wingers. We should be able to ask these questions. I agree with a lot of what you have to say. Sir,
we're not looking to discriminate
you.
against individuals, subject them to whatever it was that
that's not what he's saying.
Other
no,
groups
that's
were
not what he's saying at
previously
all.
subjected to, and hopefully get to a place of understanding. But unfortunately, do you agree that this has become a scapegoated group?
What I
see
is
that there's
virus.
In effect, a war going on between gay people and trans people, or at least not trans people themselves, but
look at that.
But trans
and
activists.
then he did the then he did the let's turn the L, the B, and the G against the T. And David's like, I like that. What's that? Is that a little bit of divisiveness you threw into the queer community there? Interesting. Oh, I like that. It's got subtle nodes of political effectiveness. Maybe we'll improve our electoral position. I like that.
So I'm not sure that I follow that. I think that I have great sympathy and great respect for gay people, and I worry about the bullying that goes on, not by trans people themselves or necessarily, but by some of the activists. I mean, there was somebody in Britain, I think just a couple of days ago, who stood up and made a speech. He was actually a trans person, a man turned woman, who said, if you see a TERF, punch her in the fucking
trans women.
face.
Just trans women, period.
Oh, so in other words,
a trans woman, period. I'm sorry. I gang, I'm on that petty shit. Y'all know me. I'm fucking petty. I'm very petty about it. No. A trans woman is a trans woman. A trans woman is not a man who decided to become a woman someday. They're a trans woman, period. And it's fuck out of here. It's bullshit.
You, if I understand correctly, you have some concerns about LGBT and whether or not trans really is part of the LGB movement or something different.
Well, I think there's been a recent court case in Britain where an LGB lobby was fighting against a T lobby. So
I'm not familiar with that case, but I'm aware of that disagreement, certainly. So that is a concern to you.
Yes.
Interesting. All right, Richard Dawkins, there's no appropriate time to cut a conversation, but let's cut it now because we are at the end of our time.
How about before it ever fucking happens and you post it on your YouTube channel? How about that?
We will be linking to your podcast. I really appreciate your time and insights, and I know you're very busy.
We'll be spreading your turf propaganda. Thank you for
much.
coming. Gang, I told you. Sometimes a fucking scare quotes fucking leading progressive voice and a scare quote fucking scientist, even a leading evolutionary biologist, and a scare quote fucking atheist voice, they come together and it's a terrible day for everybody involved. It's just, oh Lord, why did that happen? Why did that happen? That was I told you it was gonna be terrible. It's fucking terrible. Just fucking terrible. And gang, it is so obviously deliberate to me that he fucking punted, that he fucking just filled all the fucking 30 minutes with bullshit and softball and softball and bullshit and softball and softball. Then he pulled the James Apperson and was like, asked and answered. I asked about it. Hey, I asked about it. What do you want me to do? I fucking asked about it. I gave the man a minute. And then he just fucking agreed with oh yeah, oh yeah, I share some of your concerns. Oh yeah, interesting. Yeah, oh, awful. Just fucking awful. Yeah, Steph, the language is so 1970s. Just exactly. Even the fucking microaggressions of it all, gang, like all that little shit, that's fucked up, and they know, and I just and that's shitty. I do not understand why David Pakman had him on. And honestly, it feels like a broader betrayal, like this broader thing that is happening between the larger fucking self-proclaimed progressive channels and the fucking corporate Democrats. Look, let's look each other's booty holes. Let's circle jerk each other. Let's keep the fucking center rights and all of them fucking in the loop. And let's all fucking throw the fucking radical woke agenda under the fucking bus, because fuck them marginalized people who are not rich. Like, fuck them. Like, you know, like this is, they're all, it can't be a coincidence that David Pakman's people are sitting back seeing everybody's faith in the TYT turn to shit. And then they just go, yeah, I think it's a great time to fucking have Richard Dawkins on. And literally to just give him a platform to just spew his fucking bullshit. Like, no. The timing matters, context matters, when you do what you do matters, and this was a shitty thing to do and a shitty time to do it. The only thing that's good about it is, like Maya said, like, you know, maybe we should be praying for these people to do this. Maybe we should just be looking forward to it. That way we fucking can clean house and we fucking know who is who. But, you know, because again, I just would have been on edge, not wondering when the other shoe was going to drop and the day was going to come that David Pakman did some fucked up shit. And now we know that day was today, and we could just keep it fucking moving. And now we know that the hard fucking severe fucking limits of this man's ability to address the fucking difficult issues. That was some horse shit. And as for Richard Dawkins, again, can somebody please just send this man somewhere? Just take him somewhere, y'all. Send him somewhere. Like, oh boy, I don't need any more Richard Dawkins in my life, y'all. I think it would be better if we just let Richard Dawkins just ride into the sunset, y'all. You know, there's plenty of really good Richard Dawkins stuff on wax for people who need that to reminisce and remember the good times, but it's over. It's over. That was fucking painful. Honestly, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It really felt like he was trying to do some reputation rehabilitation for the man or something like that. And he has to know. He even bragged up front about, oh, I've been going through all your interviews and reading your stuff and all of this type of stuff. So he knows. It's just absolutely crazy. But look, man, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. That was definitely interesting. Like I said, I saw that, had to change the plans and see that. Like it just came on to David's channel, like, I don't know, half hour to an hour or whatever before we went live. So it's just hot off the press. But yeah, I was bothered by it. I'm pretty sure y'all see why. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all so much. We're going to go hang out and gather, have some fun, unwind for a couple hours before bed. Thank y'all so much. There are links in the description. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, just want to say thank you. Subscriber count's been growing. It's been people watching the streams, and I really appreciate that, man. We're really trying to make it clear where the values of this community are, and you know, if people are not down with that, we're happy to see them out the door. But it's really encouraging to see everybody here, and I really appreciate your support. If you're watching later, go ahead, leave us a comment if you like, and I'll catch y'all later. Thank y'all so much. Love you guys.